Welcome back to our continued discussion about program evaluation and hopefully continuing to prepare you to develop your evaluation plan. Today's discussion is going to be on participatory or participant-oriented evaluation approaches. And I know the syllabus says that we're going to have two sessions about this. This will be the only session on participant evaluation. Next week, I'm going to lay out how to put together a plan, an evaluation plan, so that you'll have an idea of what the expectations are and you'll have enough information that you can begin to develop your plan, your evaluation plan for the program that you've identified. So note that that will be a slight change in the syllabus. Nothing else is changing. The midterm exam will still be next week. Will be due on Friday, October 4th. So don't forget that. Know that that will be out there next week as well. So, but today we are going to talk about participatory or participant-oriented evaluation. Spend a little time talking about that. It's a relatively new approach to evaluation, but one that is gaining momentum, that is being used more and more, particularly in social programs, community programs, where the target audience can be engaged in the entire process of evaluation. So what it is, if you want to define what participatory evaluation is, it's an evaluation that involves all the stakeholders in a project. So typically, we think about stakeholders as being those who make decisions, those who fund a project, those who carry out a project. Maybe sometimes we don't think about the participants and those who actually are the direct beneficiaries of the program, right? So that this is where we involve them. So we involve those that are directly affected by it or are carrying out every phase of the program. We involve them in evaluating it and applying the results of that evaluation to the improvement of the work. So we want to make sure that when we're doing a participatory evaluation that you've got, think about it being a community education program. So you've got the instructors, you've got the planners, you've got the supervisors, the program managers, but you've also got those individuals who are part of the target population who are participating and learning from the program. Those would all be involved in the evaluation, not just filling out an evaluation survey. They would be involved in actually developing and delivering the evaluation. We'll get a little more in depth about what that looks like. So, why would this be something that you might want to do? Why would you want to involve everybody in an evaluation? Well, I mean, obviously, it's going to give you a better perspective on the needs of the participants, of the beneficiaries of the program, and on the ultimate effect. So, if you get input from them, from participants, and you engage them, then it's going to give you a better perspective. Okay. It's probably going to get you information that you wouldn't otherwise get. So think about, when you're trying to get information out of a target population, are they going to be more likely to open up to an outside evaluator? Or are they going to be more likely to open up and talk to a peer, someone who, is from their community that has similar interests and is in a similar situation? So you're going to get better information typically, or at least you're going to get information that you wouldn't otherwise get. Okay. It's probably going to tell you what worked and what didn't from the perspective of those most directly involved. Okay. So not just the elected officials, not just the supervisors, not just the foundation directors who are funding the program. You're going to get direct input from beneficiaries, that is, program participants, and the staff that are out delivering the program. The ones that are boots on the ground, directly involved in the program, you're going to get more information from them. Okay. Probably going to be able to figure out why something worked or something didn't work more readily if you involve people from the ground up. Probably going to result in a more effective project. So if you get that kind of information about what worked and what didn't work, you're getting it from directly from those who are the most impacted. then you should be able to improve your program and make it more effective. So your project should be more effective if you involve participants in an evaluation. Okay, it makes the stakeholders, those participants, feel more empowered. They feel more ownership in the program. So if you involve them and you give them some authority and some responsibility to help deliver the evaluation, they're going to have more ownership in it. They're no longer just participants in the program, they are a part of the program. And that's a big deal. It really makes a difference in terms of the mindset of those stakeholders, those program participants. Okay. It can provide a voice for those that we don't hear often. So, like I talked about very early, um, oftentimes people will be less likely to speak with an outsider, someone who's coming in from outside to deliver a program or to evaluate a program. They're much more likely to talk to someone from the community. So the voices that we haven't heard before, we're more likely to hear them if we engage the community and the participants in the evaluation. It's going to help those individuals who participate. It's going to give them skills that they might not otherwise get. Things like how to develop and deliver surveys, how to conduct an interview, how to lead a focus group. Those are important skills that can be used in the workplace, and it could help them from an employment standpoint and other areas of their life, just having those skills. It might lead them to be more apt to volunteer for a leadership role in a community organization or a school board or the PTA or a church or something else in their community. If you've built their confidence and you've taught them some skills that they can use in other areas of their life, it can be really important. So that's a really strong reason why you might use participatory evaluation, not only to benefit you and your program in the evaluation, but to give those participants something else, something outside of their participation in the program or what they're learning directly from the program. This is really a strong skill that they can use in other areas. Can give them, give those participants more self-confidence and build self-esteem. Like I said, make them more apt to volunteer and to want to serve in leadership positions. It can demonstrate to people ways that can take more control of their lives. Again, it's a confidence thing. It just shows them that, they can do things that they might not have known they can do, and they'll step forward more often and take control in areas that they might not otherwise have. They're likely to take ownership of the project. This is what I talked about earlier. It's not no longer are they just coming and receiving. They are part of the program. They own the program. They have pride in the program. They want to see the program succeed. That's a game changer from a community or social program perspective when you have stakeholders that own it. From an extension standpoint, we have program area committees that are comprised of people from the target audience. So if I have in Brazos County, if I have an Ag and Natural Resources Program Area Committee, it is comprised of farmers and ranchers. They're part of our target audience, but they are going to help us develop and deliver those programs. They're going to help us market those programs. They're going to help us evaluate those programs. They take ownership. And when they take ownership, they're the best spokespeople that we have in terms of bringing others in. They do a fantastic job of that. That's participatory evaluation and participatory program development. They're involved from beginning to end in the educational program, and that ownership is a game changer. That's what makes programs successful where otherwise they might falter. Okay, can spark creativity. It encourages people working together and being collaborative. And in a community, that's a big deal. If people have always, kind of been standoffish or just kind of done their own thing, and this is encouraging them to work together in a team setting, that is a big deal in a community. So this is one way to encourage that. And then it just fits into the larger effort of participatory spirit and getting people engaged and help wanting them to see that they can make a difference in their community by being engaged. So it's not just the impact that it has on this one small program, it's the impact that it can have on the overall community in terms of a spirit of collaboration and participation. So when would what are some downsides? Why would you maybe not want to use participatory evaluation? Well, it's going to take more time. Okay, it is. You're bringing people in and participating in your evaluation process who have never done anything like this. So you're going to have to train, you're going to have to supervise and mentor and tutor those individuals that you're involving with your evaluation that have probably never done anything like this. We just talked about the skills that they're going to learn and the benefit that could have, but it's going to take some investment on your part. So no question, it's going to take more time than just doing a conventional evaluation where the maybe the program manager and the evaluator do all the work in terms of delivering and delivering and interpreting the results of the evaluation. Okay, trust is really big, and being able to establish trust between all the participants, the the funding stakeholders, the program delivery stakeholders, the program management stakeholders, and the participants all have to trust each other and believe that they're all pulling in the same direction and they all have the same goal. Sometimes that's pretty simple, sometimes it's not, and sometimes that's going to take as much time as anything is building that trust so that everybody can work together. You have to make sure that everyone's involved, not just the leaders, not just there's always those individuals that are more outspoken or that just kind of assume leadership roles, and others just kind of fall in line and get in behind them within any group. Those are the ones that will always step forward and be willing to do this. You've got to reach a little further in and pull some individuals out that are not those quote unquote leaders of the various groups. So you got to make sure that everybody's involved, and some of those that are a little quieter or maybe not quite as upfront, that we can pull them towards the front. Okay, you got to train people, and that's a big deal. They've got to understand what evaluation is. They've got to understand how this process is going to work, and then they've got to have some basic skills about how to ask questions, how not to try to, not to lead people to a certain answer, but how to be very unbiased in the way that they ask questions or the way that they deliver a survey. Think about this, guys. You've all been at a restaurant or at the AT&T store or at Best Buy or somewhere where your salesman has said, even Whataburger, says there's a survey at the bottom of your receipt. If you'll fill this survey out and make sure that you give us tens, or all fives, whatever the highest score is, then you'll get a free whatever. Or if you'll give us all fives, that's going to provide me some recognition. That's an extremely biased way to try to influence people to participate in an evaluation. That is not what we're trying to do here, and we don't want our participants to do that. Our participant evaluators. So we got to make sure that they're trained and they understand some basic skills about how to be unbiased. They have to have buy-in and commitment without question. There's going to be things that come up, right? So we've got to be sensitive, but we've also got to work in ways to help work around some of these kinds of things. Maybe it's childcare, maybe it's doing things at times that are more convenient for that target audience, for those participants to be able to get involved. But we also have to understand that the timeline we set may get tweaked and may get changed because there's going to be delays. There's things that are going to come up when we have this many people involved. It's not going to be as smooth, and it's not going to work as much like clockwork as it would when you maybe have two or three people that are doing the evaluation. So just know that there's going to have to be some flexibility in relation to the timeline and that sort of thing. Okay. You're probably gonna have to be creative on how you get information and record information, because it's going to come in maybe in a little different form as some of our participants gather that information. So we gotta be creative and understand how we read and interpret that data and how we get that recorded. And then, funders and policymakers, they may not understand or believe that this is important. They may say, look, we're paying you to be the evaluator, and you're out here recruiting all this free help. Why are we doing this? It's going to slow us down. It's going to, so your work, one of your tasks as an evaluator, if this is something that you want to do, is going to be to convince funders and policymakers that they're going to get a better product in the end, if it truly is. That participatory evaluation doesn't fit every single program, but if it fits and you've come to the realization that this could work in the program that you're assigned to evaluate, then one of your tasks is going to be to convince funders and policymakers that this is the direction they should go. So when would you use participatory evaluation? We just talked about when you wouldn't, but when would you? Well, when you're committed to a participatory process for your projects, roll on, do an evaluation, right? Use them in evaluation. When you have the time or when results are more important than time, so there will be projects that as an evaluator that you get assigned that the timeline just will not work. It's too short. There's no way you can make it work. But if you have the luxury of having a little bit of time, or if the results are more important than time, this could be the way that you improve the quality of your results. Could definitely be a good deal. When you can convince funders, just like we just talked about, that it's a good idea, then it's probably something that you should do. When there may be issues in the community or population that outside evaluators aren't likely to be aware of. Just like I said, people are going to open up and be more transparent with their peers and with other people within the community. So they're going to see things that that an outside evaluator might not. Okay, they're also going to know some of the pitfalls and some of the sensitive areas within their community that an outside evaluator may not know. So they can avoid some of those problems by not stepping on toes, not getting into areas that are going to cause people to to close off or to step back and not be involved. So having somebody from the community or that population can really help with that. When you need information that will be difficult for anyone outside the community or population to get, you're going to want somebody within the population or within the community helping. When part of the goal of the project is to empower participants and help them develop transferable skills, just like we talked about, there's more to this than the data coming to you being better. We are training people to do really good, important work and know how to lead groups and facilitate discussion and interpret results and do some basic research and be unbiased and to speak in public and to have confidence. Those are great skills for somebody that might not otherwise have that opportunity to learn and practice those skills. So an outside benefit to a participatory evaluation that you might not see just in the data that you get. And then when you want to bring the community or the population together, just like I talked about, this makes people want to focus on improving their community probably more than just about anything you can do. A really strong way to get people involved, engaged, and working towards a common goal. So, who should you involve in a participatory evaluation? We've kind of talked about it, but let's just look at them from start to finish. So, all stakeholders. That means we're going to start at the very base level, which is participants or beneficiaries. Those individuals who will participate in this social or educational program would be involved. The frontline staff or volunteers who are delivering the program would be involved. The administrators who oversee that frontline staff or who help coordinate those volunteers, we're going to have them involved. Outside evaluators, that could be us. Okay, we might be the outside evaluators. If you have outside evaluators, clearly they're going to be involved. It might be community officials, individuals who help provide funding or provide the location or help us promote. we're going to try to have them involved. And then others whose lives might be affected by the project. And that might be elected officials. It might be, if this is something that's happened in the faith community, it might be uh, pastors or lay leaders from other churches. Think about those kinds of individuals and that might be impacted by this project. We want all of them to be involved. So basically, we want anybody who this project might impact to be involved in a participatory evaluation. So how do you conduct a participatory evaluation? Just a few points to wrap up here this morning. You're going to recruit stakeholders to become program evaluators. Sounds really simple. It is not really simple because that's just not something typically that is in their comfort zone. They've never done it most of the time. They really don't understand what's going to be needed and what's going to be required of them. So the recruitment part of this is going to take you some time. You're going to have to lay out the benefits and why they might want to be involved. You're going to have to find those individuals who are the leaders and then get them to help you reach down a little further and bring others in who maybe have not stepped into leadership positions. So recruiting is a big deal. Training is definitely something that's going to expand the timeline of your evaluation. You're going to have to provide training. You can't just recruit them, give them a 10-minute pep talk and tell them to go get them. Okay, that's not how this works. They're going to have some training. But again, remind them that training is transferable to other skills and to other parts of their life, and it should benefit them beyond just this project. And it's not costing them anything other than their time. That's a real benefit to those participant evaluators. Okay, make sure that everybody fully understands the issue. We got to name it, we got to frame it. So we've got to understand what the issue is and be able to fully describe it and fully expand on the impact that this issue is having on the community. This is why we're evaluating it. We got a theory of practice. That basically means we've got as we talk about in extension, we've got a program development model. So we've identified the issue. We understand what the objectives are that we hope to change through an educational program or a social program. And then we've got the plan laid out for how we're going to implement and evaluate that program from start to finish. So the theory of practice is the program development model. We got to fully understand that. We've identified the evaluation questions. Again, that's not the questions that are on the survey. That's the 4 or 5 big questions, 2 or 3 big questions that we're going to answer through our evaluation. We're going to collect the information, and we're going to have those stakeholders involved in all of this, helping us collect and analyze the information. And then we're going to analyze that. We're going to determine what are we going to celebrate and what are we going to work on. Okay, what needs to be improved and what was great. And then no matter what, we're going to stick with this plan. We understand that the timeline could be pushed and it could be maybe just a little bit slower, or there may be some things that have to be tweaked as we go through, but we're going to stick with this process because we've decided that it was appropriate for this project, for this educational program. We've gone through all the steps to recruit and train those evaluators. We're not gonna abandon it. We're gonna stick with it from start to finish for this particular project, and gather the data that we hope will be really rich data. Okay, so that's what a participatory evaluation looks like. That's something that when you're developing your plan, you can decide, is this something that might fit in the project that you've identified that you plan to develop a plan for. If it fits, then this will become part of your plan, the recruitment and training of evaluators and engaging them. And one thing it's going to do is it's going to give you the ability to evaluate broader, to reach more of the program participants and engage more of the program participants. So there's some real strength there. But you're going to build that into your plan if this is something that fits. Okay, so next session, we're going to go through an evaluation plan, the steps in an evaluation plan, get way more in depth about that. And then we'll start getting into looking for indicators and targets and how we collect data, those types of things in terms of how to actually implement an evaluation. But we've got to get it planned first. So we're going to do that next week. The quiz will be up this morning, so you can complete the quiz for this session. Again, the midterm is next week. The midterm will be comprehensive of everything we've covered since the August 26th lecture. So there'll be about 6 lectures included in the midterm, and it will be comprehensive. It's not just things that you've seen on quizzes. It's anything that we've talked about in the lectures. So if you've not been keeping up and watching the lectures and maybe taking some notes, I would encourage you to go back and do that over the next week as you prepare for the midterm. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me this week, and everybody have a good week. Thanks and giggle.